Hi, so for today, I'll be talking about one of the 12 principles of animation, which is the squash and stretch. So, what is squash and stretch? Squash and stretch is the principle of applying a contrasting change of shape from a squash pose to a stretch pose, or vice versa, to give a feeling of fleshiness, flexibility, and life in animation. The absence of squash and stretch gives the rigidity or stiffness to the motion. The transition between a proper squash pose to a stretch pose or the other way around breaks the perfect solidity that CG animation in particular inherently gives to everything. Here, the principle of squash and stretch is boiled down to its essence on the classic bouncing ball. There's a squash pose on the drawing there, where the ball is in contact with the ground, and stretch poses just before and after it to provide the necessary contrast. Squash and stretch gives life and flexibility, but not only that. It can help convey what the material that something is made of. In the bouncing ball case, very little squash and stretch will indicate a firmer material, like a ping pong ball or a bowling ball. A rubber ball would naturally have more squash and stretch. The application of squash and stretch can be quite detailed when done with nuance and not just applied with a thick brush. More does not necessarily mean better. So why do animators need squash and stretch? Squash and stretch can make characters and inanimate objects have a feeling of life by introducing a flexible quality. Squash and stretch can be applied to a single body part, say an eyeball or the entire character's pose. The latter is particularly useful when making rigid objects come to life. So how can we master squash and stretch? Overdoing squash and stretch is probably one of the biggest errors of a beginning animator. It's a fun toy in the box, so everyone wants to play with it and show off. Be careful not to overdo it so your character looks broken or off model, or starts losing believability. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it and learned from it as well. Thank you for watching.